If you love throwing 100-pound girls in the air, flipping your body, jumping, dancing, all while getting hurt in the process, then competitive cheerleading is definitely the sport for you. Are you passionate about something? Have you ever played a sport? Well, I'm here to tell you about the sport that I am very passionate about, and that's competitive cheerleading. I've been doing competitive cheer since I was 7 years old. I'm currently 17. That means I've been doing competitive cheer for 10 years. And I'm here to tell you what competitive cheerleading is, so what are the different parts of a routine, why I believe it's a sport, and also to inform you on how cheer can be very time-consuming but also very expensive. So what is competitive cheerleading? According to an article from the Journal of Human Sport and Exercise titled Fatigue, Complexity, and Technical Execution in Cheerleading, cheerleading is a technical, explosive, and physically demanding sport. Currently, there is very limited knowledge or specific research in regard to both routine fatigue and technical execution of skills at different levels of cheerleading performance. In competitive cheerleading, each team performs a 2-minute and 30-second routine at competitions. At these competitions, teams are broken up by age and skill level. The age divisions consist of tiny, mini, youth, junior, senior, and even open. Level ranges from 1 all the way to 7, with 1 being the lowest. Each level has a different set of rules and skill level that they have to follow when performing their routine. Now you're probably wondering what all is involved in a routine. Routines include stunting, tumbling, jumping, dancing, and choreography all in between. Each routine is scored by a panel of judges at each competition. The team with the highest scores win. Now that we've covered what competitive cheerleading is, let's talk about why it's a sport. According to dictionary.com, a sport is an athletic activity requiring skill or physical prowess and often of competitive nature. Competitive cheerleading perfectly fits this definition. It's very athletic, it requires a certain skill level in order to perform things safely, it's very physical, you're throwing girls around and flipping your body, and you also compete against other teams. If you still don't believe me, let's look at cheerleading compared to football. Do you believe football is a sport? I have a feeling majority of you said yes. Well, in football, you practice to perfect your plays so when you get to game time, you can do them perfectly. Well, cheerleaders also practice to perfect their routine skills, so when they go to compete, it's close to perfect. Football players get injured a lot by being tackled or even hit in the head. Cheerleaders also get injured by being hit in the head. I've been fallen on so many times. I've seen everything from concussions to torn ACLs just in cheerleading. And lastly, just as football players compete against another team to have the highest score, so do competitive cheer teams, but we can compete against as many as 1 team or even 30 teams. Now that I've established why I believe competitive cheer is a sport, let's talk about how much goes into being an all-star athlete. It may not seem like it, but competitive cheerleading can be very time-consuming. Practices can be from anywhere from 3 hours long to 5 hours long and can be from 5 to 7 times a week. On top of school, work, or any other activities an athlete has going on, this can be very physically and emotionally demanding and draining. I know that I've personally had to cancel plans with friends because I've had practice or a competition. That's another thing. On top of all these practices, you've also got competitions. Competitions usually are 1 to 2 days long, and you can be anywhere from 6 a.m. in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. Competitions can also be very expensive. Sure, the athletes get in for free, but what about their parents or supporters? An average ticket for 2-day competitions is usually around $55. This doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're paying this once or twice a month for an entire year, it adds up. And don't forget about the out-of-town competitions where you have to pay over $200 a night just for a hotel. Cheerleaders also have to pay many fees to their gym all throughout the year, from tryout fees to competition fees, choreography fees, and even monthly tuition. You have to pay for your uniform, your bow, your makeup. Just that alone can be almost $1,000. Cheerleading is a very expensive sport, and not everyone has the opportunity to be a part of it. Now, before I end, let's look back at everything we discussed. Now, we've talked about what cheerleading is, why it falls under the definition of sport, and how time-consuming and expensive it is. I really hope I was able to inform you all on a new sport that you've never heard of, or even made you think about how many other sports there are out there that you didn't even realize were considered a sport. Everywhere you look, there's an athlete out there. It doesn't matter what their sport is, but I bet they work just as hard as any other athlete. Now, if you still don't believe me on how physically, emotionally draining cheerleading can be, go to Netflix, look up Cheer. It's a docuseries about the Navarro cheerleaders. Watch it. Get back with me. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.